What if the number you saw on the clock today wasn't a coincidence? What if the universe left you a message right at this moment, and only now you're about to decode it? Some people spend their entire lives ignoring the small signs. Others begin to see when everything seems too quiet. Today, maybe you've already noticed a curious number on your bakery receipt, on a license plate, at the exact time your phone vibrated. Coincidence? Hard to believe that after what you're about to hear. Today is not an ordinary day. There's a different vibration in the air, something you can't see but can feel, like a cosmic wind, subtle, silent, almost imperceptible, yet it blows with direction and purpose. Only those who have lived long enough to understand that time speaks begin to hear these invisible messages. And maybe that's why this video has reached you. Have you ever felt like a number is following you? It shows up without explanation at random moments, but it makes you stop for a second. This isn't superstition, it's frequency, it's alignment, and maybe it's destiny. Today you'll discover what these numbers are trying to tell you, and more importantly, what they're asking of you in this exact moment of your life. The universe speaks in many ways, and numbers are one of the most direct. Comment now. What number shows up most often in your life? Maybe it's trying to tell you something. She saw the number 72 3 times that week. First, on the pharmacy receipt, the total read exactly 72. Then, on the number of the bus she almost missed. And then, in a dream, the same number appearing on a door that opened slowly. Margaret, 63, couldn't explain why, but she felt something different every time that number appeared. It wasn't fear. It was a feeling of pause, as if time stood still for a moment. Deep down, she felt it wasn't random. It was a message. She just didn't know from whom yet. Stories like this are more common than you might think. Women who have spent their lives trusting their intuition feel at some point that a number starts to show up repeatedly, not with fanfare, but with purpose. Curiously, this tends to happen at key moments in life, when someone leaves, when a cycle ends, or when the inner silence starts speaking louder than the noise of the world. There is something profound in the wisdom that comes with time. It's as if the soul begins to hear more clearly. At 30, you doubt. At 50, you observe. At 60, you understand. These numbers don't show up to predict the future. They appear to light up something within that's already ready to emerge. They don't tell you what to do. They remind you of who you are. If you've ever had a number that follows you, write it here. Your story might inspire another woman who feels the same. In all major spiritual traditions, there's a subtle, almost hidden, but deeply powerful idea. Numbers weren't created just to count. They were revealed to measure the invisible, to describe what cannot be touched but can be felt. Time, the soul, the cycles life keeps repeating. In numerology, every number vibrates with a frequency. But what does that really mean? Imagine music. You don't need to see sound to feel it. It touches your body without making contact. And even if you don't know the exact note, you can tell whether the melody is in harmony or off. Numbers work the same way. They don't shout. They resonate. And if you're in tune, you'll hear them. Now think of how many times in your life you've seen a number and felt something strange. A repetition that seemed random, but wasn't. A code that felt like it was following you. That's the entry point. It's when the unconscious starts to pay attention. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who deeply studied symbolism and the collective unconscious, called this synchronicity. He believed certain coincidences weren't just parallel events, but messages, signs that something internal was connecting with something external. That's exactly what numbers do. They build bridges. Bridges between what you feel, what you live, and what might be meant to happen. In Tibetan Buddhism, numbers are seen as keys. They don't speak of the future, they speak of the present. They reveal the exact point where your soul is on its journey. If you're in transition, the number appears to confirm. If you're lost, it emerges to guide. And if you're ready, it whispers the next step. Now stop and think. What number has been appearing the most in your life lately? That number is very likely not showing up randomly. It could represent a lesson not yet learned, a cycle repeating itself, or a force within you asking to awaken. Don't ignore it, because the more you avoid it, the more it shows up. It wants to be recognized. And why does this happen more with women over 50? Because the mind slows down. External noise becomes exhausting, and the soul begins to speak louder. Sensitivity, what many call intuition, stops being just a feeling. It becomes a radar. And that radar begins to pick up patterns that once went unnoticed. It's at this point in life that many women report visions, symbolic dreams, sensations of déjà vu. This isn't emotional weakness. This is spiritual intelligence. It's when the soul says, "Now you're ready to listen." The human brain loves patterns. It looks for meaning in everything. And when it finds a repeated number, it activates regions associated with memory, emotion, and decision-making. That's why numbers move us. They activate something deep, a nearly forgotten desire to find meaning, to know there's a purpose behind the chaos, to feel that we're being guided, even in silence, and more. Every time you share this experience, you strengthen that symbol within yourself. Talking about the number is like giving it permission to act. It's like opening the door for symbolic wisdom to enter. That's why this video is not just content. It's a mirror. It's a reminder that the universe doesn't communicate through words, but through frequency, intuition, and perfect timing. And if these numbers are showing up for you, it's because you are in the right time. If you value this kind of wisdom, like this video and hit the notification bell, this shows the universe and yourself that you're ready to receive more signs. The number 72 is not common. It doesn't appear frequently by chance. It's one of those numbers that carries an ancient vibration used by civilizations and spiritual traditions to represent wisdom, compassion, and inner clarity. In numerology, it's composed of two powerful archetypes, 7 and 2. 7 has always symbolized inner search. It represents deep thought, diving into one's own soul. It's no coincidence there are 7 chakras, 7 musical notes, 7 days in a week. It's the number of the invisible order that sustains life. 2, on the other hand, is pure empathy. It symbolizes listening, receptivity, loving presence. It's the number of the woman who knows how to observe in silence, who welcomes without judging, who feels beyond words. When these two come together, as they do in 72, a silent calling is born, a wisdom that doesn't impose. It waits, it watches, and it only reveals itself to those who are ready to serve with compassion and awareness. In Buddhism, the number 72 represents the qualities of the Bodhisattva, a being who could attain enlightenment and leave, but chooses to stay, to help others awaken too, not out of vanity, but out of compassion, out of silent love for others' pain. In astrology, 72 also holds a sacred meaning. It represents exact divisions within celestial geometry, as if the sky itself were built in segments of wisdom. There are 5 cycles of 72 degrees that mark points of balance between light and shadow in the zodiac. A reminder that everything, even the movements of the planets, follows an invisible mathematical wisdom. But the most important thing isn't what the number represents. It's what it stirs within you. The number 72 shows up for people who have lived a lot, who've gone through pains no one saw, who felt love and loss with the same intensity. It's as if it says, now you know, now you can teach. This number is a spiritual mirror. It reflects your light, and at the same time, it questions you. What have you done with that light? Are you still hiding it? Still doubting it? Or are you ready to share, even without knowing where it will lead you? You might feel like crying when you hear this, and that's okay, because 72 touches that part of the soul that got tired of chasing and started listening to its own rhythm. Close your eyes for a moment. Visualize the number 72. Breathe. What does it awaken in you? Write it in the comments. Your light might inspire someone still searching. The number 88 doesn't show up when everything is calm. It appears when something is about to happen, when a decision needs to be made, when the universe stops whispering and starts pushing. In numerology, 8 is the number of balance between the spiritual and material worlds. It represents harvest, personal power, maturity. But when doubled, like in 88, its strength becomes exponential. It carries the karma of everything that's been sown and the responsibility for everything that will be reaped. This number doesn't ask if you're ready. It assumes the time has already come. It's a number that provokes. In Buddhism, there's talk of the 88 mental afflictions, inner obstacles that prevent us from seeing clearly: envy, attachment, pride, fear, resistance to the new. But those 88 afflictions are also 88 doors to liberation. Each pain holds the key to a new state of consciousness. When the number 88 starts appearing frequently, something inside you is saying, the time has come. Time to harvest what you planted in silence. Time to face the consequences, to good or not. And most of all, time to decide what to do with what has been revealed. In astrology, the number 88 also has depth. It connects to secret lunar cycles, cycles that last 88 days and influence not only the body, but the emotional soul. It's also associated with Saturn, time, responsibility, and Pluto, death and rebirth. It's not a coincidence. It's a map, and you are in it. 88 tests the soul that has matured. Will you stay where you are, even knowing there's more? Or will you walk toward what you don't yet understand, but already feel? Many women, upon seeing this number, report restlessness. Something inside begins to move. It's not fear. It's a kind of urgency, as if time suddenly gained a different texture, as if everything that could once be postponed is now reaching its limit. That's the power of 88. It doesn't ask. It demands clarity. It invites you to say yes or no, because maybe is no longer enough. Are you willing to harvest everything you planted, even what you planted, without realizing? That's the silent question that 88 brings. And maybe, just maybe, your answer to that question will change the course of the next few months of your life. Comment now. Do you feel ready to harvest everything you planted? Write, I accept the harvest of 88. That simple gesture could open invisible doors. The number 59 doesn't announce its arrival. It appears quietly like a whisper, but behind its presence, there's a clear movement. Something is dying within you, and something new wants to be born. You feel tired, not physically, but existentially. Some things have lost their sparkle. Certain habits no longer make sense. People, places, and even memories that once defined you now feel distant, like they belong to another life. If you're feeling this, 59 came to confirm you are at a threshold. In numerology, the number 5 represents freedom, movement, the courage to break patterns. The number 9, on the other hand, represents closure, the end of a cycle, wisdom gained through pain. Together, they form 59, a portal between the old version of you and the new one beginning to emerge. But crossing that portal requires more than desire. It requires emotional detachment, openness to the unknown, the courage to let go, even without knowing what comes next. And that's only possible when the soul has lived long enough to know that what ends also sets you free. In Buddhism, there's a teaching called Lojong, mind training for inner liberation. And curiously, there are 59 instructions, not 60, not 58, exactly 59. Each one is like a step between ego and freedom, as if each number from 1 to 59 were a piece of the path toward spiritual rebirth. And in astrology, the number 59 marks short emotional cycles, around 59 days, ruled by Pisces and Chiron. Pisces dissolves, cleanses. Chiron heals old wounds. These periods are like small internal deaths. Something leaves so that something more true can rise. The number 59 appears when a part of you is exhausted, when the armor that protected you for years starts to feel too heavy, when the identity you built no longer represents you. It doesn't ask for explanations, nor for plans. It asks for surrender. And perhaps the hardest part of all is understanding that letting go of the old is an act of love, not toward others, but toward yourself. Right below, I let go of the old. This simple gesture can mark the end of an invisible cycle and the beginning of the next chapter of your life. If you've come this far, it's because something inside you is truly awake. And for that reason, this bonus number is just for you. It wasn't placed at the beginning for a reason. It only reveals itself to those who stay, to those who listen with the heart, to those who have already begun to remember who they are. The number 144 carries a rare vibration. It doesn't appear often. When it does, it's as if the universe is telling you, you've crossed the line. Not the line of the end, but the one into the next level of consciousness. In numerology, 144 is a combination of 1, beginning, 4, structure, stability, and another, 4. It speaks of spiritual realization built on a solid foundation, of wisdom shaped by discipline. It's a number that connects heaven and earth, intuition and action. But the true power of 144 lies in its spiritual symbolism. In esoteric Buddhism, 144 represents internal divisions of sacred time. It marks the beginning of great cycles. In Kabbalah, it is said that there are 144 aspects of the soul that must be integrated for the human being to return to their full essence. And perhaps you've heard of the 144,000 chosen ones in the book of Revelation, an archetypal symbol of an awakened group with elevated consciousness, ready to lead by example, not by force. This number is a call to silent spiritual leadership, not one of spotlight, but of presence. 144 doesn't ask, it declares. It declares that you've been through a lot. You've healed wounds no one saw. You've heard the silence of the soul, and even so, you kept going. This number appears when your energy begins to align with something much greater than the personal realm. It reminds you that your existence is part of a plan, that your story matters, that your presence transforms. Seeing 144 is not luck. It's a sign, a seal. If you've made it this far and the number 144 touched you in some way, write in the comments, 144 activated. That seals this moment as part of your spiritual journey. The sacred silence, where numbers speak louder. Have you noticed that the biggest answers in your life didn't come when you were screaming for them, but when you stopped asking? There's a space almost no one visits, a place inside you that doesn't need a password, approval, or permission, a place that doesn't depend on age, religion, or where you were born. That place is called sacred silence. Most people today live in constant noise, sounds, screens, news, voices, duties, memories. Your attention is pulled in every direction. And when that happens, you move away from the only place where answers truly arise, your own center. You can see the number 72 100 times, dream of 88, feel chills when you see 144 on the clock, but if there is no silence within you, those messages are lost. Not because the universe isn't speaking, but because you're not listening. Silence is not absence. It is power. It's in silence that the pieces come together, that wounds heal, that signs become clear. It doesn't bring answers from the outside. It activates the ones that were already within. Neuroscience confirms it. When you enter a state of intentional silence, even for just a few minutes, the brain activates areas linked to long-term memory, creativity, and deep emotional processing. In other words, in silence, you access parts of yourself that are usually asleep. Have you noticed how the greatest spiritual masters in the world don't speak much? That's not a coincidence. That's wisdom. There comes a moment in life, and maybe you're in it now, when the noise of the world no longer makes sense, when you no longer want more information, you want connection. And that's why sacred silence is the missing element in everything we've talked about so far. The number 72 reveals your inner light. 88 confronts your choices. 59 asks for liberation. 144 activates your spiritual leadership. But all of these numbers are just codes, and codes only work if they're decoded. Silence is the key. And here's the most important part. You don't have to become a monk or spend hours in meditation. Sacred silence begins with 3 minutes. Just 3. 3 minutes where you close your eyes, Breathe. Feel your body. Listen to your heartbeat. In that space where no one judges you, no one demands anything, what's inside begins to rise. First comes discomfort, then a strange peace, and then a clarity that doesn't come from logic, but from the soul. It's in that moment that the numbers speak, and they speak clearly. You'll realize that 72 isn't just wisdom, it's a personal calling. That 88 isn't about someone else's karma, it's about yours. That 59 is more than a transition, it's a rebirth. And that 144 isn't a mystical number, it's you, ready to be everything you've always been, with no more masks. And here's a little secret few people tell you. Silence is an agreement with the universe. When you go quiet inside, the universe understands. She's ready to listen. Send the signs. Write in the comments, I make space to listen. It's not just a phrase, it's a ritual, a seal, a quiet beginning of a transformation that only you can allow. Maybe you didn't realize it, but something started to shift inside you while you watched this video. True change doesn't make noise. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It happens in silence. And it starts with a feeling that almost no one can explain. Something is happening, and I don't know what it is, but it's too strong to ignore. If you felt that, then yes, the final door's opening. You've passed through ancient codes, spiritual signs, forgotten archetypes. You heard words you might not even understand logically, but that touched a place in your soul that had been asleep until now. And what does that mean? It means you're already ready, even if you still doubt it. It means your intuition, the one that was ignored for years, is starting to speak louder than fear. It means you're coming back to yourself. Psychological research shows that when the brain enters a state of deep emotional focus, like right now, it releases neurotransmitters that mark that experience as significant. You'll remember this moment, because it wasn't just any moment. It's the invisible turning point. Throughout this video, your brain made associations between numbers and sensations. You started to see patterns where there used to be distractions. And more than that, you started to crave silence, intuition, real connection. That's not coincidence. That's neurological synchronization. You stepped out of the external noise and into the space where real transformation happens. Maybe you're thinking, but what changes from now on? And the answer is simple and deep at the same time. Everything. Because now, you see, when the number 72 appears again, you won't just see it. You'll feel what it's asking of you. When 88 visits you, you won't resist anymore. You'll act with courage. When 59 repeats itself, you won't fear the end. You'll embrace the rebirth. And if 144 crosses your path, you'll remember that you belong to something greater, something that can't be explained, but can and must be lived. And here's what matters most. You are not alone. There's an invisible network of women living the same journey right now. Mature, wise, sensitive women who also feel they're in between. Not here, not there, but ready for the next step. This video is not an end. It's the beginning of a new way of listening. If you made it this far, write in the comments, full visualization. It's not just a phrase, it's a symbol, a secret code between us. It's like saying, I crossed, I felt, and now I'm ready for more. Because, and here comes a truth you might feel but never dared to say out loud, you always knew. You always felt there was something beyond the routine, the material, the obligations. You always knew the signs were real, that the universe speaks. You just needed to remember how to listen. And now you remember. The next number might appear in a dream, on a sign, in an unexpected call. When it shows up, you'll know. Because now you've learned to see with the eyes of the soul. The door is open. The rest, it's up to you to walk through it.